Welcome back to FlatsClass YouTube, everyone. Captain CA here, and today I'm going to share with you something that worked very well on the boat for tarpon fishing, especially for those of you that enjoy fishing for tarpon with artificials. One of the biggest, drawbacks to fishing lures for artificials is they have too much action, okay? And that action in clear water, when you're trying to fish them on a flat or a beach in shallow water, is always a huge negative. I'm talking about daytime fishing. I'm not talking about nighttime fishing. So you've got to have a very subtle lure that gets their attention but doesn't spook them. I've got one for you. Come over to the boat and we'll go check it out. Okay, let's talk about two lures that I feel work extremely well for beach tarpon, for flats tarpon. We're talking about scenarios where you're fishing less than 8 feet of water. The fish are riding high. It's clear. A lot of us see these opportunities on the east and west coasts in the panhandle of Florida. And if you're unwilling to, take the time to fly fish for them, you can catch them on artificials. Now, not all artificials. Artificials work extremely well in low light. First thing in the morning, last thing in the evening, all night long, round bridges. They work fantastic for tarpon. But I'm talking bright, shallow water. A lot tougher. What do you got to throw? You got to throw a bait that virtually has no action. It cannot have any swim action. Can't have any action like that. It damn sure can't go back and forth. None of that. None of that will work. Promise you. Ask me how I know. Been doing it forever. Blow them out all the time. So you want a lure that basically just goes straight, just pulls through the water straight. So there are two of them that I like to use, and I feel like they do a pretty good job. One in particular has never failed me, and I've been doing this for a very long time, fishing artificials. When I have this set up, the one thing you got to remember is the presentation cannot be coming into the tarpon. When you see tarpon going by, you have to be set off to the side, one side or the other. And you have to make a cast that crosses them up at 90 degrees, okay? So it's a 90-degree angle, or an angle where it is going away and they can chase it. If it comes into them at any direction and feels like it's pinching them, you will not catch them. All you'll do is blow them up. Don't do that. So it takes a little practice on understanding where the fish are coming by, how you have to set up, and then how you have to present. And then understanding that you're going to keep that rod angle at about 10 o'clock and you're just going to reel it. Just going to reel it like this. Not fast either, just steady reel. No pulsing, no let's get their attention, nothing. Just reel. And about every, fifth or sixth group, you'll get one to follow. And at about every 10 groups, you'll get one to eat it. And it is a lot of fun. But the tackle is important and the rigging setup. So let's talk about the tackle first. The first thing you got to understand is you got to have a rod that will cast one of these baits. Now, I use a lot of these that weigh 1/4 all the way up to 1/2 ounce. Just depends on what I need. I prefer the Diesel Eye from Z-Man. It's a large, super sharp jig that is heavy duty and will not bend out. I mean, it is a tough jig. I might have been covering the head there, the Diesel Eye. It is a great jig. For me, it works fantastic. It never fails. I get good hook penetration and they don't bend out. Occasionally, when I'm using the heavier variety, the 1/2 ounce, they will throw the hook. I use a long leader. Long leaders are very, very important for this style of fishing. Most of my leaders are 7, 8 feet long, at least 7. This one has an FG knot with about 40 pound. You can go as light as 30 because see how far back that jig is set? That hook is set on that jig. See how far back it is? most of the time they're never on the leader. So you could use 30, and I have in tough situations, but 40 is the smarter play. I like the 6,000 to 8,000 size reel. This is a 6,000 Daiwa Saltus. This is their MQ. I like this reel. It's light. It doesn't wear me out. I have, it's set at, I believe, over 20 pounds of drag, which is more than what I need. And it will hold 300 odd yards of line, so I have plenty of line on this. I usually spool up with 30 pound. This is Diamond Blue. This is their Generation 3 braid from Diamond Fishing Products, and this is their presentation 40 pound leader. This is the setup that works the best. Now you're saying, well, what's the bait? Well, the bait is a scented jerk shads. I like the right stuff. I like root beer gold. I like purple demon. I like Gussie's glimmer shad, which is kind of a white, a blue white. Works really well when it's really bright out. But all of these represent fish, you know, fish patterns. I don't like anything too outrageously sparkly. I want something that is more of a flat color that works really well. And they can see it, I can get their attention. Dark works good, like the purple, the root beers. And then on certain days, they just want that pearl blue glimmer. They just want it bad. But rigging it matters, because if you rig, and I will show you, if you rig a jerk shad the wrong way, it will swim, and you don't want it going back and forth. You want it to go straight. So let me show you how you're going to do that. You're going to buy one of these 5-inch jerk shads from Z-Man. You're going to open it up, and instead of rigging it the traditional way, where you come out the back of the jig head, the back of the bait, and you measure, you do the whole, let's measure it, see where it comes out. It's tough to do that without getting a kink in it. So in the 5-inch jerk shads, they have these split bellies so that you get better hook penetration. I rig these things upside down. Does not matter. Fish don't care. For this instance where I don't want any action. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just come in the head here, and I'm going to come out in the belly, and it just doesn't matter where I come out in the belly, and it will run straight by holding it like, by letting it look just like that. Okay? You can see it just like that. By having that freedom, you got more hook bite. The bait travels. When you reel it, it swims straight. The other bait that I like to use for it is this one here. And this basically is the 6-inch darters. If you find that the fluke tail, when you, and I reel it, I rig it upside down as well, okay? If you rig it so it just wakes across the top of the water, it looks just like a needlefish. And the Houdini color, a big fan of. The pearl white, the smoky shad, lots of times I just reel them right across the surface, and they're barely going across the surface. And the nice thing about these diesel eyes is you can send it on a rod. This is the Aquafin series, all right? This is their 711 extra heavy. I'll write down all the stats, but this 711 extra heavy is more than enough for those beach fish. I mean, it has an incredible tip on it, so you can get a great hook set, and you've got enough stick to fight a fish shallow. Now, I wouldn't recommend going out and fishing an inlet or a pass with this rod, but to fish them in clear, shallow water with water temperatures 85 degrees, you can still land the fish in under 25 minutes with this setup here if you put the right amount of pressure on them, and have an unbelievable time. If you feel that this is a little bit too light for you, sure, you could step it up, but you're not going to have the same dexterity, you know, the same feel to be able to throw this lure to the right place with a lot of accuracy. What do I do if I hook a fish that weighs 200 pounds and is just running all over the place and I can't do anything with it? Put my hand on the spool and break them off. The number one thing that you always got to keep in mind when you're fishing for these fish is they're important. So if you've got sharks around, if the thing's getting out of control and starting to bother everyone else's fishing, just break it off and go catch another one. The best part about this stuff is watching the eat, watching the hookup, watch the fish jump, And if you're not capable, or you don't have an angler that's hooked up and they're not capable of landing this fish in 25 minutes, don't do damage to the fish and don't do damage to the angler in your boat, because you idling around following them is not going to do anything. Try to keep that fish out in front of you a good 75 to 80 yards where you can put a lot of pressure on them. And when the 30-minute bell rings on your watch, or 25-minute bell rings on your watch, just break them off if you don't think you're close enough to get them to the boat. That's just it. Or at that point, maybe come up close enough so you can grab the leader and pop them off and call it a caught fish. All right, if you love information like this, you love the way we break this stuff down, the tackle that we share with you, and it's making a difference in your fishing, well, please subscribe, give us the thumbs up, comment, share, and join us right here every day at FlatsClass YouTube, where we bring you some great content and some great information that will make you a better angler. Until next time, you guys keep those rods bent and I'll keep the videos coming.